Hey guys, I'm Brittany Xavier.
And I'm Anthony Xavier.
And you're listening to The Long Game. Welcome back to another episode of The Long Game. It's a little thundery and rainy here right now. And it's, for some reason, every time it rains here, I want to do nothing. It's like a cozy vibe feeling, but we shouldn't feel like that when it rains more often than what we're used to back in California.
But it's been raining like every 3 days, so I don't think we would get much done.
No, I know. But it does make me think, oh, let's start the fire, even though it's not cold when you walk outside.
It's colder inside the house. I think we're set at 72, which makes it like a nice, cool, rainy day.
We went to the Homestead Festival this weekend. It was a 2-day event, and we had such a great time.
Did you expect it to be what it was?
I truthfully didn't know what to expect. I feel like the only festivals we really go to have been Coachella. We went to EDC one year. What other festivals have we been to?
I don't even know if you can.
I mean, they had live performances there, so it was like, I guess I didn't realize it was going to be a lot of vendor booths, so you can shop and find out about different people.
It's kind of like a conference. I think that setting would be in more of like a conference center, like a main hub.
Okay, that's so what I mean, I knew we were going to learn at stages and there was also live performances, but I thought it was more like, you know, when you go to a festival and you watch music and then you eat, but it was a lot more of like the shopping, but also the learning. So yeah, I guess it wasn't like a typical festival, what I was picturing in my mind.
More like an educational festival. And then a lot of the people going there are wanting to meet certain vendors because, I mean, they had a variety where you can buy chicken equipment or you can buy high tunnel equipment and actually learn from the people that specialize in.
So the whole idea of it is it was on this big farm. I think it was an 80-acre farm, and it's a 2-day event. So they had tents set up where you can see demonstrations. They had a kids area. It was a lot of kids there, very family friendly. They had food trucks, and they had, so I guess if you had a booth, then you would sell or talk about what it was. So there was rural realtors there. There were people who specialize in farmland and homesteads. And there was, I mean, we bought that. Let's talk about what we bought there. We bought this brand called Vessel, and it's for lunch, like taking your lunch places, but also you can, like, say you made a casserole and you put it in the oven or you put it in the freezer, you can pull it out and just put it straight to the oven. It was really cool, and it has like a picnic type setup, so we got some of those.
It's a metal tin.
And it's a metal tin.
Because we try to stay away from plastics. We have a lot of glass containers, but we've definitely broken a few. So this was kind of a nice substitute where, you could put it in the oven or you can pack it as a lunch, and they had different containers, but
it has a snap top, so it's waterproof. And then it has like this bamboo cutting board. So if you brought like a cheese board somewhere, or like if you wanted to do a picnic at the park, it had all those little compartments. So check them out. They're local in Tennessee, but there's a lot of local vendors, and what they were selling was based on their needs of their homestead and getting into the community. So we met a lot of people, and we actually had visited one of the booths before in person. So when Jaden had done a camp at Baylor, Texas, there's this place called Heritage in Waco, Texas. And it's like hand carved toys.
They had like Lincoln logs.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went in there, and that's where, if you look at my TikTok video on it, that's where Elliot got the truck, the hand carved truck. And then Poppy got a little fox. But when you're in there, I'm like, some of these things look familiar before, but maybe just because it's a lot of the hand carved stuff we saw there. And then sure enough, it was the Heritage place. And so I thought that was cool. A lot of people were from out of town. It wasn't just Tennessee. It was local, but then also people that were really big in the space and were traveling in. I love the kids area. They did a really good job with that.
Yeah, they had face painting. There was a jumper. There was like a corn pit. So it's all these corn kernels. So it's kind of like playing in sand.
The kids had so much fun there.
Elliot came out and all his pockets were filled with corn.
It was really, really fun. So we did that. They also had where you could plant your seeds. So you kind of play in the dirt and you dig for a seed or you plant it for the kids. And they had all fun looking at all the farm animals, and we tried to go to some more of the lessons. I feel like maybe next year we bring the kids one day, or then maybe we bring your parents and then they sit with the kids in that kids area and then we go to the lessons, because I feel like we did miss out on some of the lessons because it was just kind of hot to be out there all day with the kids.
Well, that
when you're sitting and you're trying to listen to an hour speech.
Yeah, they did pretty well. And I think we got through maybe half or even one that was almost all the way through. But yeah, having it be so hot, they get antsy and you're just like, okay, we got to keep moving, especially Elliot, because he just wants
to get out of his stroller and run around. So we thought it was, it's like, I feel like there wasn't that many kids in the parts that we brought, unless they were babies and the mom was nursing them or something, where they were like not talking. But I feel like we were the only ones with like toddler kids during those sessions.
Yeah, because we were more on the outskirts, and you can hear a couple of kids here or there, but it was more babies. And
so I think next year we would, now knowing how it's set up. But what would you say were your biggest takeaways as far as what you felt like going into the weekend, knowing that it was going to be primarily about like homesteading and learning how to garden? And I mean, there's people there that do it for a business, so it's not just all first-time homesteaders. It's people that are very,
I think the really eye-opening, but it was cool to hear, is just they started out as just trying to provide for their family, but then it turned into a business because they got good at it. But you can tell a lot of them had failures, like in the first year, second year, and really kind of trying to tweak it and figure it out. And they've made mistakes and they've learned from it, and they got to a point where now they're being very efficient. They're supplying food for their family. They're even selling food or giving it to family and friends. But just the community and everybody wanting to help each other out, to learn and really promote this homesteading trend. I feel like it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, if you told us about homesteading 2 years ago, do you think we've ever would have?
I think just being more aware of what's in our food and how much less reliant we want to be on the grocery store, and be super knowing of where everything is sourced and how it's grown. And while we do buy eggs from the farmer's market right now, to think about having our own chickens that we know exactly how much sun time they're getting, how much time they're running around, what exactly they're eating, and knowing that that's like 100% guarantee that exactly how the chickens are being treated. So it's like you're still, when you buy the food, I know like we support the farmer's market, but it's like you're still a little bit more removed from knowing how it's grown.
Yeah, you're taking basically the distributor out of it, or that piece where you could be saving if you just did it yourself. But it's also nice to just kind of get an inside scoop at the different farms, or, okay, we're buying eggs here. Even when we buy eggs from different vendors, okay, what color is the yolk? How strong is the shell? And it's just like things like that we're slowly picking up, where if the yolk is too yellow or like a bright yellow, it's not very nutrient dense compared to like a very orangey sun looking yolk. So it's just like those little things that we pick up and then we notice, and okay, how can we implement when we do get chickens, what's the best way to give them those nutrients and have a strong orange yolk, I guess.
Well, I think that's misleading though, because what was the one egg that had the big controversy? Was it Vital Farms, where they said they were pasture raised, but they're not? Something like that.
It was Vital Farms, but I can't remember. I know they got in trouble because
I think they were also giving the chickens, allegedly they were giving the chickens turmeric, so it makes the yolks.
I heard of
dark
pepper
yellow.
Flakes.
Or
red pepper flakes.
So you can give them something to make the yolk look more nutritious, but I think it goes back to just like knowing how your chickens are. Although that one guy at the farmer's market, Adam's Flock, he had the best, and you can tell he's not doing anything shady. He's literally 9 years old, and he was so eager to be there. He had like a little insert that was so sweet. So we haven't seen him at the farmer's market yet, but I did find out where he sources them, or he puts them in a little grocery store around here. So I thought I would support. But I think the other thing is that you don't need to have that much land to feed your family.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Most of the people were feeding on less than half an acre and triple the times of what they need for what they eat to feed a large family too. So I was really shocked by that because I guess it seems like you need rows and rows of vegetables.
Yeah, we always thought that you would need like a ton of land to be able to just even supply your own family. But having those different techniques that we picked up, you can really your yield can be exponential, and it's just the same amount of land by doing those certain things, like the trellises and how the hanging trellises with tomatoes, you can hang it so you're bringing more height to your tomatoes, so you're increasing your yield, but you're not using more land technically.
Wait, what? Explain that for someone who doesn't know what you're talking about.
So like,
are you talking about doing the tunnels?
No, like a wire trellis. So you can have a wire that goes across.
But it was in the tunnels.
I mean, it could be in the tunnels. The tunnels, yeah, they increase your yield. You have more control over the climate. But just in general, because I had looked up a YouTube video of the high tunnel guy, and he was showing how he was making these trellises. Oh, but they were outside.
You're confused what we're talking about. A high tunnel is where you it's like a plastic, kind of like if you see them at garden centers where it's like this plastic tunnel. And it's kind of the benefit of it is that it keeps rain and hail off your plants.
It's more control. So you have control over the weather. So yeah, you're not getting too much rain, which can lead to pests or disease. And then the sun, you can increase the efficiency of when the sun goes through that plastic. Like you can have different layers of plastic and put you in different growing zones. You can grow for an extended period of time. So say your growing season is 7 months, you can add a month in the front end and a month in the back end.
But the booth that we went to with the high tunnels, he manufactures them, but he was also talking about why he started making them was because he was having root rot from a lot of his crops from having too much rain. And he ended up being one of the largest strawberry suppliers was it Missouri or Arkansas? And he was growing on such little land and it was all organic. And so he was beating out the other people because he had the high tunnels. That was the only thing that set him apart.
Because it keeps out pests too and certain insects. I mean, there's just a lot of benefits to having a high tunnel. But I went down a rabbit hole and wanted to check out his YouTube video, and that's where he was making these outdoor trellises. So basically, he had a pole on each end of his like garden rows, and then had a wire that went from pole to pole, and then he had this mesh netting that came down that went straight through like the middle of the bed. So when the plants start to grow, they can attach to the mesh, and then they have more support. So where when they do produce more fruit, it's not going to bend over and snap.
Right. So we learned a lot of different techniques like that I feel like was more inspiring after. And we did make a list of things that when we get this like whatever property we end up getting, is we want to do the high tunnels for sure. I think that's now something as a necessity that I didn't think about before, especially with how Tennessee has gotten more rain this spring than they've gotten in the past like 10 years or something.
Well, I mean, just in general, if we had one of those, it would have, those golf ball hail that came down, that took out quite a bit of plants. Like you could see it just shred through the plants.
Which so that these are things that we weren't used to at all before when thinking about weather. Like,
and that's just learning, you're learning. Just kind of going through it.
And I think the other thing that stood out to me is like, going counterculture is, I love how that, I don't know, I forget her name, but she had spoken about like making those meal times with the kids part of like your routine, and how do you build relationship with your kids and build a place where your kids, come to you and trust you. It's like those little impressions daily, those like shared experiences. And she's like, the shared experiences don't have to be a huge vacation. It could just be the daily, the inputs you're putting in with them. And they said like breakfast, lunch, and dinner was a non-negotiable. I mean, she said she grew up in like a very traditional home, but as she got older.
She grew up Amish.
Oh, she grew up Amish?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally missed that part.
Yeah,
that makes way more sense.
She was saying like, the different things they did.
I thought she had said that she doesn't follow whatever she was raised with.
I mean, they took some parts of it, and then left the others. But
now she's just a Christian lady, right?
Yeah, she's Christian, but yeah, I know she had couple of her children while they were still part of the Amish community, and then they broke away.
Okay, I missed that part. I was coming up with Poppy late to that one. But that I wrote that down on my notes. I thought the shared experiences and like what are the shared experiences that I want to do for our kids. And I feel like sometimes we have lunch together, but like sometimes it's like, Poppy's taking it up in her room and she like wants to still play with her toys, or Elliot, I'm feeding him early before we sit down. So we're like all eating lunch, but I really want it to be that like we're all sitting together for lunch, and whether, we all have different leftovers today. So it's not like we're eating the same thing, but it's like we're just all sitting down and taking a minute and just not like checking our phones. And so I liked that. I thought that stood out to me. And she also homeschools her kids. So I just loved how her kids want to be around them too now. Like I thought that was such like an inspiring thing. But those are something I took down on my notes. And you're going to do things differently. Like with the homestead, it is different than going to the grocery store. But it's like she said it's like more than that. It's like the family community that you're building around it too. And she said you have to do so much to be counterculture to what the world or what society expects of your kids to be, and they expect them to be babied until they're 30 years old, and she's like, no, like you teach them how they should go. But I mean, they're supposed to be adults, or they can handle things. Like they're expected to like grow up and have responsibility. And she said that she never put pressure on her kids to if they wanted to homestead or whatever down the line. She's like, I never put pressure on them, but if they want to come visit, I always want them. It's always, there. But she's like, I'm not telling people their kids have to do what we're doing, which I love that.
Another thing I liked what she had said was her purpose was to provide for her family. And it wasn't, basically, in essence, she didn't want to have the homestead or what she was growing or what she was taking care of to be all consuming.
Oh, yes. I love that part where she said the emotional needs come first.
Mm-hmm. That she wanted to be there for her children, and then, she can work on other parts of the house. It was like her children, and then
whatever the chores are.
Yeah, housekeeping was like third, and then the second part, I thought it was just like maybe the garden or whatever. But
because she says she loves spending time in the garden, that's like her favorite thing. And I just remembered her book is called The Heart of the Homestead, which I need to order it. But apparently, she was well known because everyone was cheering as if. It's funny because it's like very niche to be like well known in the homestead community. We didn't know who the only person we knew there was
Joel Salatin, Justin Rhodes. And then
people that we've read their books from. I thought that Elliot Coleman was going to be there, but I think I had just assumed that because he's really big on that organic farming book. But I guess I could have looked at the speaker list, and we didn't really do a ton of. We bought the tickets probably 8 months ago. We were like, ooh, Homestead in Tennessee. And yeah, so I really like that.
But her book was, she was starting to write like how to take care of your homestead, but then realized that no, you need to put your emotional needs of your children and your home first, and then that stuff will be later. Because if you're getting into this, it's going to be very overwhelming. You're going to spend a lot of time just trying to figure things out, and then it'll slowly get easier over time. But you don't want to put that above being there for your children or being there for your family. And so the Heart of the Homestead was kind of that, where it was more focused on how can I take care of my family and be there for them emotionally, physically, and then do all the other stuff, but always making sure like that was priority number one.
I really like that. What's another, because what other one did you like that stood out to you? I liked the other one. Remember when Poppy had a screaming attack halfway through and we had to walk away?
Wait, why not?
Hers was so good though.
Oh yeah, the second day.
Poppy said she almost choked. She was eating
a
date, and she just randomly started screaming out of the nowhere in the middle of the speech, and everyone looked back, and I'm like, Poppy, are you okay? And then she's like, oh, I almost choked. I'm like, what? But I don't know if she was I thought she bit her tongue. That's what it sounded like. But
yeah. That was a good one because I was trying to remember where they were from.
Whispering Willow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whispering Willow Farms on Instagram. I followed her when we were watching the speech. I liked how she did her breakdown. She was very how-to.
But her thing was how to grow for your family, like how to replace like your grocery bill.
And I think the thing that stood out to me about that, again, was that you don't need that much space to grow enough food to feed your family, but make a list of the things that you actually eat and the things you're constantly going to the grocery store for. Because she said she got caught up in the seed book where, you know, you can buy the seeds to start all your crops.
Like Johnny Seeds or something.
Yeah. And she said she got kind of sidetracked with that and then had like 70 different tomato seeds that all require different, or 70 different species or varieties. And you have to care for them different ways. So she was saying that it got so overwhelming. And she's like, I didn't even know how to can at that point. And she had like buckets and buckets of tomatoes. And she said, okay, I need to scale back. Like, what do we actually eat? What's my goal here? And she gave a lot of good insight as to like the top crops that give the best return, like potatoes, beets. Things are very nutritious, but they store really well. I feel like we found that out with butternut squash. We always buy that because it does store. It can sit on your counter for 6 months.
Garlic,
without going
onions.
Bad. So we missed half of that one because kids wanted to run around after that. But
she sent a PDF with her slideshow, so we're going to be able to go back and kind of take some notes. The biggest one that I pulled from that was the succession planning. And I've heard that a couple of times, right? Succession?
No, that was the guy from the high tunnels.
No, she said it too.
Oh, she did?
Because with her tomatoes, she had planted them all at the same time. So she's doing the same thing at the different stages to all the plants. So when they all came online, like when the fruit was all ready to be pulled, she had all those tomatoes that she was pulling at the same time, and then like nothing to do with them other than, I mean, because she didn't know how to can at that time. But
yeah, and that was cool about the high tunnels. He was talking about succession, and he was talking about which plants to plant in which season, because then you have a year-round harvest with the high tunnels because you can control how hot it is in there. So I liked that.
But being able to make sure you can pull fruit at certain times and continually have a variety at any stage of your growing period, and then being able to use that instead of just like how we just planted all of them at once and threw them in the garden bed.
I know. When he was talking about that,
like
I was like, well, that's exactly what we did. I mean, we only have a few.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to be struggling to harvest.
We'll be so excited if anything actually comes to fruition.
Elliot already harvested a couple of tomatoes.
He looked at me and he bit it. I'm like,
they were looking so good too, and he just. Wow.
Yeah, he's quick. I will be excited though if our pumpkins come in. We planted pumpkins. Giant pumpkins. My hopes are not up high for this, but we'll see. This one we're just like found a patch around a tree and dug a hole and stuck them in there, and they're actually growing. They're starting to flower right now, so I'm really curious to see how well they do. We also met because they had different people representing. So there was this one booth that this guy had mini chicks in this mobile court or mobile coop, and the kids were of course obsessed with the baby chicks. So they were holding them, and we were talking to him, but he's actually a homestead consultant. So he comes out to your land to look at what the best setup would be for if you wanted to have animals, or where your garden would be and how to set it up. And I think he looks into soil quality and to see if it's even something that would be manageable. So I think we're going to have him come out and look at the property that we're considering right now, because we do want to make an informed decision to make sure that while we know the house can be fixed up and if the land is not usable, then that kind of defeats all the purpose that we're trying to do here. Which I think we have just based on my experience or limited experience, and we went out there a few times just to see where the sun was hitting. But I think we have some good amount of usable land that we'll be able to do something with, unless, there's something underneath the dirt that we're not aware of. And I would love to replace having to buy my bouquets of flowers. I'm obsessed with buying them every week, and I spend a lot on flowers right now. And if I could grow them myself and make my own bouquets, that would be such a blessing because I could have more bouquets throughout the week, not have to wait till the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And not feel like if they start to wilt or die, I'm like, oh no, I have a couple more days left until I can go again. I could just go outside and pick some more. Something about flowers, and I would have them in more rooms versus just the kitchen.
Yeah, and I think we've learned too that we probably could have put a lot more flowers in that planter or the box than what we did.
Well, these are summer blooms, so once we harvest them, I think in like another month, then we can, I don't know if we have to look into that, but I don't know if you tear out the roots, dude. They're supposed to be perennials. I don't know. Maybe we can just add some. We're just learning in these garden boxes right now. And
I'm just shocked that we actually planted it and they're producing some type of fruit.
I know.
And
The fact that that's like how people really used to eat before, like the Industrial Revolution made all the food in the grocery store is a thing. But like that's not how our great grandparents ate. They had family farms and they weren't like selling the food, but a lot of the time it was just to supply for their family. That's crazy that we're so far removed from that now.
We just get excited after our one tomato plant has 3 tomatoes on it. But yeah, it's all a learning process. And I think it's kind of overwhelming too, because when you start listening to the speakers or you start talking to the vendors, I mean, knowing the right soil, the pH levels, and, different plants and the different seasons and how to plant them, how far apart, like there's a lot that goes into producing food for your family. And that I was like, wow, this could be very overwhelming, but I think if we just take it one step at a time, because obviously we want to have animals, but I think we just need to pick one thing, get good at it, and then move on to the next, and then get good at that, like set up the systems, understand it, learn from our failures. We can get like chickens. I think
having people around you that have, read books, you're part of that Abundance Plus thing, that network where you can ask people questions.
Yeah, if you guys are really into homesteading or a garden or have chickens or whatever, the Abundance Plus, I believe I think Justin Rhodes owns it or he's a partner in it, but that's a very informative app. A lot of people on there doing the same thing, and you can ask questions, people respond. Even Justin Rhodes himself, you can ask him a question. I think it's the premium subscription, but you can ask him a question and he'll respond, and he's very active on the app too.
And he has a YouTube channel. I forget what it's called, but I think Justin Rhodes.
You can just look up his name, yeah.
But I read his book, and he started by wanting to provide organic fruits and vegetables to his family because it was just so expensive to buy organic. His wife got into wanting to kind of go like toxin free, and so he looked at the price comparison of certain organic fruits to the non-organic, and he thought, why can't I grow this? Like, it can't be that hard, right? So he kind of went into this whole rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to do it. And but then Anthony was supposed to have a meet and greet with him, and then you were too embarrassed to meet him.
I was not supposed to have a meet and greet with him.
Yes, you were.
I got in line.
No, on Saturday, the meet and greet.
The kids weren't going to hang. We got there so early, and the kids weren't going to. It was like around 3:30 or something.
It's like, Anthony, this is your shot to talk to him and say how you've been asking questions on the app, and he's responding to you, and he's like, no.
Oh, I didn't ask him any questions directly.
But he always responds.
I have the possibility. I throw a comment in the community, and he responds to it. I'm not going to go up and be like, oh, hey, thanks for responding back to me. Maybe next year.
He lost his chance to meet Joel Salatin too. Oh, if you haven't seen Food Inc. on Netflix, Joel Salatin's a part of that, and we really just like what he has to say about going back to what food was supposed to be and providing for your family with the food and not being so far removed from where your food comes from. And so he has a pretty cool story. So he did a demonstration there on how to process chickens. We only went to like a couple minutes of that one because we missed a little bit of it running late, but I feel like that's not something we need to learn 100% right now. But that was the only one that he did the demonstration for. So that was like the most packed because everyone knows who he is in that community. I didn't see him walking around or anything though. I was hoping maybe we could catch him at a different time.
Yeah, I don't think he was out and about because I feel like he would have probably got a little bit bombarded.
Yes. On his website, we were reading it. It's the Polyface Farm. So you can go and buy, they have eggs. I think they ship their eggs and chicken, pork. They do everything pastured. And he said that he gets a lot of requests. The way he writes it is so fun. Well, his team writes it. He's like, don't reach out to us and ask us to follow us around and that you can earn your keep. Like a lot of people say they will. They're like, no offense, but we would just get so bogged down with people wanting to follow us around and pick our brain. So I guess he gets a lot of requests for that on the farm just because he's so well known in the food space.
And I know they offer tours. Like you can take a tour.
Yeah, but he gets people reaching out saying, can I follow you around the farm and I'll help out and I'll earn my keep? And he's saying, please, he's like, no offense to you. No, you won't. That's what he wrote on there. He's just like old style,
just straightforward.
Very straightforward.
I mean, if you're running a farm and there's so many things that he does, it's like, how are you going to, for someone that's going to pop in for 2 days and then peace out, it's just like a lot.
Yeah.
But I know he has a program, it's like a 6th or 7th month program where you can apply and you're basically working on the farm and they teach you a lot of the skills and how to raise the livestock and garden.
I think mainly college or high school kids do it though.
No, there's a couple that were older.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think he said like high school degree, or maybe that was something different.
I remember reading somewhere where there was like a couple of like 40-year-olds or
really?
30-year-olds.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was like an internship that was for college age kids.
It's kind of like an internship, but it's just people that want to expand their knowledge. But his whole general premise for it is to teach people about regenerative farming. Like there's other ways to go about farming other than just the industry standard. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll submit an app, but that would be weird to be gone from the kids for that long.
I know. And by the time they're raised, I feel like you should probably already know how to farm by then. Like if you're going to the internship in 10 years.
No, I won't go in 10 years. Like it's something I probably should do within the next year or two, but that's I don't know if I could.
They do have that farm planning class that we were thinking about doing.
You could do workshops, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's like 4-day or even maybe like a 2-week workshop. What was the one in Australia? Was it in Australia? There was one that it was like a 2-week regenerative farming workshop. I believe it was by Elliot.
Oh, does he live in Australia? For some reason, I thought he lived in Maine.
Maybe it wasn't. It's something that Justin Rhodes had did, and it was a 2-week workshop. And I thought it was in Australia,
that would be fun.
That'd be interesting.
But maybe I feel like that's something that you can't bring the kids to because you have to be fully engaged in taking notes and learning and whatever they're trying to teach you.
I mean, baby step wise, we can just find some farms around here. Be like, hey, can I help out for a week or just volunteer?
Well, I mean, what would be the main things you would want to learn besides like what you can learn in the Abundance Plus or like all the books? Because I feel like we have so many books on it too that you can get. And Justin Rhodes does all his YouTube videos. I feel like there's so much learning opportunities without having to be like hands-on unless you're trying to like
I feel like if you had a solid foundation where like you go through it, you take the course, because even Joel Salatin has that lunatic farmer course. Like you go through that stuff and then have like at least know something or have a foundation of how to somewhat run things, and then go to other farms, be like, oh wait, they're doing it a little better, or oh, their technique, I like that better than what it was taught here. So, I mean, that could be a possibility, but we have like a lot of resources and books, courses. I think we kind of got carried away by buying a lot of them.
There's so many books right now that I just got another one that's a kitchen revival gardener, where it's like just feeding your family. I mean, these people are doing it season over season and they're having a lot of success with it. So and even that Whispering Willows farm was saying that every season they meet together as a family and say, what do we want to grow more of? What do we want to scale back on? And they always want to up their berries because they eat a lot of blueberries and strawberries. And so they're like, how can we grow these longer and have like more yield? So I love that, because imagine if we don't have to buy berries. We spend so much in berries. And like half the time we don't want to buy Driscoll's because they don't grow with any soil. So anytime I'm at a grocery store and they only have Driscoll's, I'm like, ugh, I'd rather not.
Yeah, the organic.
Yeah, the organic blueberries. And if they're only Driscoll's, I pass on those because it's not as nutrient rich if it's not grown in soil. So,
and that's the sad part. Is like you think you're buying things at the grocery store that, okay, they're organic, they're pasture raised, like with the instance of the Vital Farms and
we
their
avoid
eggs.
Vital
Like,
Farms eggs.
you have to really do your research and understand how are these companies, like what does their process look like. And
I feel like the rule of thumb I've really keep coming back to is if they're a big corporation, I'm more wary of them. Like I want to support families, smaller businesses. And so for me, if I see Driscoll's berries, I'm like, no, I'd rather just wait till the farmer's market, or I'd rather go drive a little further and go to the one that's like supplied from a farmer's market.
Because you can't on the scale, like how as a company be able to service basically the United States. There's like no way.
Yeah. So, and if you watch was it Food Inc. that we watched where they showed how they keep the chickens that are that was probably the hardest part of the whole show for me to watch, was like how terrible the chickens are kept and how they never see sunlight. And like they never go outside in these, I don't know what they are, like cages, or it was just like, that was, ugh, I can never eat
like big
non-pasture raised eggs again. Like I'd rather just skip on the eggs.
And cage free. Yeah, they're cage free, but then they're stuck in this, I don't know.
I mean, they die like and tunnel, just like fall on each other. And
yeah, they're so squished together.
They can't even move. It was insane. So that's how typical, like if you get typical eggs at the grocery store, that's exactly how they're being kept. And it's like the nutrition value goes down a lot because if they're not running around, they're not eating bugs, they're eating corn, they're not outside in the sunlight, like the nutritional value of that egg goes down immensely. And just knowing how your food is taken care of and who's supplying it. So the more corporation, like the higher, like the bigger corporation in my head, it's like the less I trust it.
Yeah. So Food and Food Inc. or Food Inc. and Food Inc. 2 on Netflix.
I like the Food Inc. 1 better. I think it's the one that Joel Salatin is like the most into. Yeah,
because they visited his farm and he was kind
of just in another. Wasn't he in something else that we watched? Another documentary. I mean, he has so many books too. So if you look up the books by him, he just, or maybe it's because we were watching his class.
Yeah, even on Abundance Plus, there's episodes of him.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've learned a lot just from watching videos about, and he's also been on other people's podcasts, so I listened to those. And he kind of says the same thing as far as like the food stuff in the beginning, but if you're talking about how to, have your own cows, and he does cows and chickens and pigs for profit because he's selling them, as far as like he's selling the meat. So he tells you how to like make a profitable, like if you wanted to sell your meat, how to sell it in a profitable way.
Like how to scale it. And so Polyface Farms is his farm. I was just listening to another episode. He was on Jordan Peterson a month ago. So he's definitely on big. He was on Joe Rogan. So he's on like a lot of big name podcasts. Super interesting guy, very knowledgeable, but he was working a job and him and his wife they took over the family farm and just made it work.
So he's definitely a good resource. And I think he's also encouraging that it doesn't have to be on a ton of land, but
that was in one of his books. He was like, start small, work your way up. And then for us, because we had started looking at places where, okay, we need 20 acres or 15 acres. And the more we dive into this community, the more we learn, we're realizing you don't need that much space.
And also one of his tips was, I'd rather you be closer to a major city and have less land. So that way, if you do sell things, you have a place that people would want to actually pick up from you. And he's like, you may not want to sell right away, but like just have that in your mind if you want to make that as, maybe you're doing really well with the vegetables and you want to supply at farmers markets. Where are you going to drive 2 hours to go to a farmer's market? Probably not. So I thought that was really good advice. And also when we were looking at that house that was kind of far away from us, we kept going back to that, and also about being closer to a church. So we thought we need to be closer to our community on less land. And that's helped drive some of our decision making with this too.
And we didn't even know that this was an option, but you can also lease land. And I thought it was going to be really expensive to lease land, but even some properties that we had checked out, they were leasing a couple acres, 1 to 2 acres to a farmer. And they're like, oh, you can bring in $400 a year. And I was like, $400 a year to lease 1 to 2 acres, I mean, that's another good option where if we're getting really good at this and, you know, we love our place, we just go lease land somewhere and just replicate the same blueprint there.
Yeah, I think it was very exciting that all of the network, and it's their 4th annual Homestead Festival. So they said each year it's gotten even more people are interested in it. And I know everyone there drinks raw milk. 1,000%.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was
Well, it's kind of cool to see though, if you see other families and a lot of them were bringing their own
everyone
lunches.
brought their lunch. Yeah. We were probably, I mean, they had a lot of healthy options for the food trucks, because I think a lot about the homesteading movement is that you want to be in control of your food and know what's in your food. And so I think that what they could have improved on is just, they had some healthy ones. Like they had organic, it wasn't healthy, but they had organic, I'm totally forgetting what it's called. It's like a big thing and you put it like this.
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy.
I didn't know that was organic. Poppy's like, what is that? And I'm like,
she didn't know what it was.
No, and I was like, oh, it's cotton. She's like, cotton? And
you
I'm
said
like,
it was cotton to her?
yeah, I didn't even say it was candy.
It was
'cause
bright pink.
I didn't even want to bring that up.
But it didn't have any added chemicals or anything. It had like sugar, and I think they use like beet juice or something to dye it. But
I didn't even know that's what they did. That's, well, I mean, that's
it was,
cool.
I
but,
mean, it was like
yeah.
healthier options for some of the food trucks, and they had homemade ice cream for one of them. But the longest line was the fermented. It was like kamui fermented sandwiches, but they were sourdough sandwiches, and they said they put all the ingredients of what was in their sandwich, and it was so good. But you could tell the bread was so fresh, like they had just made it, and it was a big slice. But the line was the longest for that one, which I think next year, if they brought in more of those kind of like farm to table trucks.
But the cute thing was that truck, it was all run by the family. So it was their 3 kids or 2 kids. Yeah, 3 kids, because one of them was taking orders. The other one was in the truck cooking bacon. And then the little one was pouring the drinks.
Yeah, and she's like, hey, has anyone... You could tell she reminded me of how Poppy probably will be when she was 9. Like, who ordered this? Like, I mean, come get your order. And then the dad was like, you need to not be so rude. It was so funny. But she wasn't being rude, but she was just like matter of fact. Like, yeah, hey, who ordered it? Come grab it. And I was like, this is exactly how Poppy's going to be one day when she's just like bossing people around.
She's learning customer service.
Yeah. But I thought it was really cute. It was just like the mom's making the bread. And so I thought that, oh, what were you talking about that? Oh, but what they were talking about is, I mean, how much milk we buy right now. It's like you're replacing that with having your own cow and the different things that you can do. Like you can make your own cheese, you can make your own yogurt. And these things aren't hard to do once you learn them and then you have the system down, but you're replacing half of your grocery run at least from the start.
We were never big dairy people either.
No.
I feel like we never drank milk. It was always almond milk. And then we got a little bit healthier because whatever almond milk we were using had the gum. So we were slowly making our way to where, okay, now we use milk, which, I mean, we don't use it.
We rarely.
Anymore.
We rarely use almond milk anymore because now that I've had, like, once you have raw milk, it is like the creamiest. I don't like the taste of pasteurized milk. Like, you can tell there's a difference. It's like watery or something. Even a whole milk is more of like, can't you tell it's like less creamy or something? Even when I froth, I know you're not supposed to like froth it because it kills all the good bacteria in it, but I always froth it for my coffee, and it's the creamiest coffee. It's just a cup of raw milk, like cream. Oh, it's so good. And now I can't go back to almond milk because now I feel like the almond separates in it, and it's so watery. Funky. I had to do it this morning though because we ran out of it.
Yikes.
And I was just sipping through it thinking like, I really need my own cow because now we have to wait till Saturday to get the raw milk.
It just tastes so clean. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Good. It's just clean and it doesn't make you feel bloated or.
And the kids love it. They like.
We do cow and goat.
Yeah, we do a mix. I do like the taste of the cow milk better because I feel like the goat milk is a little nuttier, a tad.
Yeah.
But it's like now I've gotten accustomed to it. When I have the goat milk a couple days in a row, then I have the cow's milk. I'm like, okay, I still like the cow's milk better, but the kids don't even notice a difference. They'll just drink whatever. And they'll drink the kefir now too.
It took me a bit to get over I'm drinking goat milk. I don't
Oh,
know
really?
why. Just even when we first were buying it from Erewhon and for Elliot, because the doctor had recommended use goat milk instead of cow milk, I was like, I don't know if I can drink this.
I feel like it was a little nuttier on that brand, right?
Oh.
I think it's just like, well, also it's like the fresher, like when you're getting it from the cow, like the sooner that it's
straight from the farm to your
like as
fridge.
quick as you can get it, right? It's like the most fresh. So yeah, there's just something about it that's like so fresh and creamy. The creaminess about it. It froths so well. You can't get enough. So we do go through about 2 gallons right now of milk per week. So if we can get a cow that, oh, and that was another thing that she had said about the shared experiences that remember that lady that was talking about the shared experiences with her family? She said that's one reason why they won't get a milking machine, because every morning she'll go out there and if one of the kids wants to come, or if they don't, she's like out there, they know that they can spend time with her in the morning and, you know, she's milking, talking to them. And I really like that because she said those are the shared experiences. My kids will run out there and I mean, she's older now. Her kids are raised now, but she said that was always something that they would look forward to. Like if I can't find my mom in the garden, I can run outside and see what she's doing out there. And I love that. It was like that set routine for her. And she said they also went through so much milk and they would just give it away to some of their neighbors. And it's kind of cool. It's just,
I'm wondering how, because I don't think we've ever looked into it, but like how long, I know you have to, I saw that they milked that dairy cow on that farm 2 times, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. But I'm wondering how long does it take to actually milk a whole gallon?
well, they had a demo that we missed, but there was milking cow demo there.
Like, are you spending 2 hours a day just milking?
No, it's not that fast. We saw the goat one at Carmel Valley Ranch. It was like 10 minutes and they got a huge bucket of milk.
Yeah, that's kind of
You were
crazy.
there for it.
I don't remember the amount.
Remember,
that was
and
milked.
then Poppy did not want to do it. She's
I remember
like,
we were doing it, but yeah, I don't
But he got
remember.
a big bucket of milk, and they were making all their goat cheese with it.
Yeah.
And the goat was, it's like they waited to where the goat, they want to be milked, because this is hard to explain, but like when you're breastfeeding, like if you wake up in the morning and you're kind of engorged because the baby started like having less feeding through the night, like the next morning you want to nurse because it feels so good. It's like this release of like, I don't know, like it's just such a satisfying feeling.
Like when you have to go to the bathroom and you're holding it all day, and then
it's different because it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's not the same like that, but it's like this different like letdown feeling. Well, because like the baby will nurse for a second, and then so it takes the baby to nurse like for, I would say like maybe 30 seconds, and then your breasts like let down. So then the milk is like shooting out. It's like pouring out, because then it knows like, okay, a baby's on, like we need to feed it. So the other side is like coming out, but you're just like, it's just like the letdown of the release. And it's just like, I don't know. It's always hard to explain, but like in the morning feedings were always my favorite because it was just like so satisfying. And so that's how they said that how the cows feel. Like it's just this like release of like this like pressure, but also it like,
so they're more willing to let you do it.
they want to be milked.
Yeah.
You like, I mean, remember when you get home from events and if my boobs were engorged, I'm like, I need to nurse like right now. Like in the pumping, the thing about the pump is that it doesn't pull the same as a baby suction. So it's not the same. Like I would get way more engorged when I would pump because it was like not releasing
really,
all of it
yeah.
unless I like really tried. It wasn't as quick as like the baby would just like pull it out. But that's one of the reasons why like I dreaded pumping, was because I didn't feel like that satisfying release from like Elliot would just, also he was just like quick.
Like in eating?
What?
Quick to eat?
Quick to eat. Yeah. He would like just gulp. Like,
I mean, he still eats.
He
like
still
that.
does that right now. And I do feel like Poppy, she was a little bit more of like, she would play with my hair. Like I'm like, okay, you need to keep nursing. Like we need to stay focused. But she would like pull off and like,
and she still does that where she's kind of eating, but she's playing. She's
I know, that's exactly how she still
doing.
is. It's literally their personalities right from the start. But yeah, Elliot would just be like, like he's so cute. He still eats more than Poppy right now. He's a growing boy. Mm-hmm. I do think that Poppy and Elliot had a lot of fun. It was really hot
hotter than.
But I kept putting water in their head, and we had a fan, and we got them ice cream, and we were walking around. But they did really well for it being hot, but they kept wanting to go in the corn pit. And that was a big hit. And I don't even know if they knew what we were learning there.
No, it was just.
Poppy keeps saying, like, Poppy keeps telling me that when we have our farm, Elliot's going to ride the donkey through the garden.
I didn't know we were getting a donkey.
Neither did I. She's like, he will just love our farm, Mom. He's going to ride the donkey all through the garden. I'm like, what? And I think because we talked about so much of the Jesus story with Easter, how Jesus rode a donkey, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, why would she think that he's going to be riding a donkey?
I feel like we come across donkeys though quite a bit. When do you see people
riding donkeys?
I mean, you don't. Not since Jesus. I don't know.
I mean, she has definitely not seen anyone ride a donkey before. But she pet the one at the Homestead Festival.
There was a donkey there. I mean, the only time I think Carmel Valley Ranch, they had donkeys, but they were pulling. We
were just doing the little picnic next to them. Do you think we would get a donkey?
Well, I know for horses and cows, pairing them with a donkey, like if they're by traffic. So if there's like just a lot of noise or distractions, I know donkeys have some type of calming effect paired with like a horse or a cow.
When we were looking at the goats, they had these baby goats, and as we were staying there, she's like, the girl that was running the booth was like, wait, I know you guys. And she's like, I had shown you guys the property. So she was the realtor for another property that we had met our realtor at. And I said, oh, I didn't know you raised goats. And I was talking to her for a while. So I got her information, and she's like, let me know if you need to buy a goat, because I raise them and we take really good care of them. Like,
and they're the miniature ones, the pygmy goats.
Yes,
I think.
So cool.
So really
that was
cute.
a cool connection. But she was asking us if we had found a place, and I told the place we were looking for. She knew exactly where it was. But I was like, oh, so you raise goats? And she's like, we love goat milk. And we were talking about the milk thing. She's like, my kids go through so much of it. And she's like, yeah, and I'm also a realtor. I'm like, what? So it's just, the community is very nice. Like, everyone was very talkative there. And it's, again, like, it's one of those things where I keep being reminded of, like, I'm so glad we moved.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those, like, how big it's just like, that was kind of another confirmation for me. It was like, wow, like, there is this community of people that really value family, that love their country, and that just want to raise their kids in an environment that the parents are supporting each other and they're being together.
Raise good humans.
Yeah. No, I did like that. And I did like that there was a lot of emphasis on faith. They would talk about, like, how God has helped them throughout their different journeys. And I thought that was just, like, nice to hear from other people too. Not that they were, like, saying that it wasn't like a faith-based thing, but overall it's like
a common core.
It's common, right? Yeah. Because it's like, you want to be able to raise your kids, and if you want to teach your kids the Bible, you're most likely not going to be sending them to a school that's, like, very anti the Bible, so it's kind of cool that we're seeing, like, just the different people out here, or like
it's getting out of our bubble and getting into another bubble, but like more that aligns to our values, and just how people are so welcoming and they want to share and they want to help people create this vision of being able to be there for your family, being able to teach them great values, and have basically a farm where you can supply your own food, just kind of taking it back to the basics, where a lot of that stuff was just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just kind of already not processed, but
like, just
because
you want to rush through it.
Yeah. It's like, it's getting back to the cores and your values. And I feel like a lot of people there aligned with what we're trying to accomplish and our purpose and values here.
Yeah, I really like that. We also met people from California. It's like, I feel like Tennessee has a lot of people from California.
Yeah, they do.
It's crazy. Like, even in this very niche community out here in the homesteading community, I mean, the Homestead Festival, I wouldn't say it's like so small, because they had a lot of people that flew in from out of town and they, made it a thing. So And especially I feel like because Joel Salatin was there, I feel like people that wanted to see him.
He's like the top celebrity guy in this
Right.
homesteading, regenerative farming.
We're
Like, he's
this
the
is a
guy.
different type of celebrity crowd
Yeah.
we're around now. That's funny. But yeah, I thought it was just like, it reminded me so much. You know, there's tons of moms there, you know, 2 kids running around, one slung on them, like just bringing them to everything. And it wasn't like these people thought, oh, I need to get a babysitter. For me, I'm like, should we even bring our kids? Like, do we need to go to the classes and learn? Like, everyone's very lax. Like, they're not stressing like we don't have a babysitter. Of course they're bringing their kids. Like, why wouldn't they bring their kids? So I think that was something that I thought about there. Like, oh, obviously most people have their kids here.
But it would be nice to just bring my parents and have the kids run with them while we try to listen
Especially
to
because they wanted
speakers.
to go to the corn pit so many times, which we did, but they could have spent all day there and just rotate. You had to wait in line until the next group went and then go back in. But it was so cute, like how much they love that. And Elliot, the second time I put him in there, I'm like, hey, we're going to the corn pit. He got so excited. He was so happy. Now we need to have a corn pit in our backyard. Wouldn't even be that hard to set up, right? You just get like
have to keep it covered because I don't know what happens when it gets. Oh yeah,
right?
That's a good feeding ground for
that's so true.
wild
Maybe
deer
not.
and.
Oh, and also that there's other events like this around the country that these speakers will be at. So that's why I was following their Instagram, because they do talk about other places that they'll be at. So it might be kind of cool to check out another one if me and you just wanted to go and not bring the kids.
Yeah. That could be fun just to expand the knowledge, because yeah, I feel like, I mean, we are kind of limited as to what we can start to implement here just because we're renting. I mean, we got the garden boxes and we probably could build a few more if we wanted some more crops. But right now, I think we're just in learning mode and trying to figure out. But we don't want to be paralysis by analysis either. We just got to get in there and just start doing it and then seeing what works.
But I think that we would probably dig rows for the garden in the ground, wouldn't we? At the next place and put the
because
high tunnels over it.
The cost that it takes to make these boxes, like I don't know if it completely, and then you have to bring in all the soil too.
But I still like the boxes for like to have my coffee next to the picnic table. I still like just, oh, that was another thing that the Whispering Willows said. She's like, don't grow the things that are the most aesthetic because you want your garden to look pretty. She's like, have an area, like a sitting area for that, where you grow whatever you just want to look at and it's pretty. But like the things that your family eats, you really want to be growing those in the ground and, you know, have the rows, and it's going to have things coming out of them. So I also made a note of that because I thought maybe I just still keep the boxes and I grow all my flowers and I grow some of the herbs in there so it's close to the kitchen. But all the high tunnel is like pushed back to where the kids aren't like playing and running through it.
Yeah, because it's not going to be very cost efficient to try to get everything in boxes.
No.
And even some crops, I mean, they shouldn't be in a box. So, yeah, that would be cute to set up like maybe a 1/4 acre where it's just garden beds and kind of a seating. It could be an outdoor space for morning and night with the lights.
You can grow some things. Like we're still growing things in there. And the herbs are doing really well. Now when I make my list for the farmer's market, we don't have to buy the herbs. And so that's something new and exciting that's also strange because it's like we've never done that before, where it's like, oh, I have the mint, I have the parsley, I have the cilantro. Normally I'm trying to get all those herbs every time we go.
We just need to learn how to prune them to where like it promotes growth. Yeah,
right now I just want to take off what I need to make, but I don't want to take off more because I'm worried about ruining the plant. Yeah, because
there is some technique. That's another thing. I mean, we got them in the dirt.
YouTube videos on those
They're
things.
growing. We haven't killed them. At our California place, we were trying to grow, and I don't know what was going on. I lost a few plants. The tomatoes
when the fires happened and all the ash was in them, I was like, yeah, I'm not
it just went
those.
all into the dirt. But I feel the Tennessee weather here is different. Like there's sun, there's rain, and it just promotes that growth. And a lot of the soil out there too, when we were just
has a lot of worms in it.
Yeah, when we were digging it up, so many worms. So
I think Poppy is so cute that when we go out there to water the plants, she comes with me every night. And she's so impressed that they're growing. She's like, Mom, we're growing some food. And we find the beans. And of course, she told me the minute Elliot ate the tomato, but she's like, our only left our tomato. She was devastated. But that she's just as excited to see the things growing because she knows what we planted. We had the signs out. And I think it's really, I mean, she's only 3, but imagine her being around this to where it's just common to grow at least some of your food, that maybe one day she will do the same, at least to cut down on some of her grocery bill.
Yeah.
And if you were raised around it, you're understanding it's not as hard as we are thinking it is right now.
Yeah, because it does seem a little overwhelming.
Well, we like to do a lot of research before, but I'm sure other people just go in and make mistakes. We're very research heavy. I feel like we tend to do analysis paralysis or whatever it's called. You do that for sure. And I tend to do it too. But like you 100% will. You'll research.
What else?
Like the most things. Like even I wanted to buy something at the booth. You're like, well, let's research that first and see what the
there could be a better deal somewhere else. You don't know if they're
I looked up
gouging.
Like, this is the real price of it. But yeah, most of the vendors Anthony wanted to research. I'm like
I have their names, and so I'm going to go home.
But if we decide to buy it, then we'll buy
up.
it from these people because they're all local. And
yeah. Well, I just want to make sure that I'm making
you do it
the
so
best
often.
decision. It's
kind
of like
you
when
end
you
up not buying it.
When
You're
you
like,
go get
I
quotes somewhere, you don't want just one quote and think that's a great deal. You have to get other quotes.
But then I would say that it tends to make you not do something or not buy it because you're like, well, yeah, I was like overwhelmed with all the choices.
We shall see going forward.
Like, just get out there and ruin the tomatoes. Just try it.
There's a lot of money that went into those boxes. You want to make sure something actually grows.
I think the main investment is the soil, right?
There's so much
There's
soil.
so much soil.
Jeez.
But I think that if you had, like, we could have dug up more areas of this land if we wanted to, but you probably could have just mixed some of it with compost, right?
Oh, you're saying without the boxes?
No, like dig up your own dirt and then mix it with compost. But the only thing is that way is that you might be having weeds grow through. So that's the benefit of that.
Yeah. Because I know weeds is kind of a big thing too. When he was talking about the high tunnels, that presentation, he was saying
they have to go
it takes a couple years before you get your soil right and nothing is growing in it besides what you plant.
That's crazy because right now with the boxes, we don't have to really worry about weeds unless something falls, and I check out there and just pull anything out, but I haven't seen anything.
I saw one blade of grass.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get it?
Yeah. I was like, is this grass? And then I had to make sure because I didn't want to pull something that was.
What if it was actually the vegetable multiplying? That's what I always get worried about.
No, because it would go be from the same.
Yeah, true. See, that's the thing. Maybe it's more of a cost in the beginning, but maybe it actually is beneficial because you don't have to worry about what grows in it. Like, how much weeding do you want to do from the start just to get the hang of it?
Yeah, we can do a few more boxes and figure it out.
Well, I think what we need to do is get that succession plan first from the guy with the high tunnels, and then we can figure out what he plants in the summer. And we should not worry about spring because we're already going to harvest whatever comes out there and then start fresh for summer, even if we need to pull out whatever's in there and like restart. Do you think?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Wait, we just have to see what the succession plan is. Like, does he add another box or does he rip up the roots and like plant something new? No, he can't do that.
Because what crops do you pull where it's just the plant, like you're leaving nothing? Because tomatoes you can leave, right? I'm assuming you can leave tomato plants.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Or is it with all of them and you're pulling and replanting and pulling and replanting based on your family's needs?
Yeah, I truthfully don't know how that works, but I know that these ones are all summer blooms and crops. So if we wanted to, we could dig them out and then just start fresh with whatever our next plan is for the spring.
I really want to venture into microgreens or even like doing our own seedlings because I feel like that doesn't require a lot of space.
We just need to figure out the growing first before we go into microgreens.
But it'd be cool to just see the process with poppy, like planting a seed and then seeing it come out of the dirt.
Yeah, but you need like the whole setup for that.
What setup?
Well, where would you put them right now?
You can put them, like they have like little coverings, little plastic coverings and then you could just stick them somewhere
No, a lot of people
outside.
have them in like a shed.
No, I'm saying like a small scale, so you can get like a little tray of them.
Oh, and just keep them in the house with a
Yeah,
light.
just to like show her, or just for even us, we're like doing.
Yeah, they sell the kits at Target. There's like this like little broccoli microgreen thing.
Yeah, just to kind of have Poppy check on them. It could be like her little garden, and then she can.
Yeah, that would be cute. I thought you were talking about like setting up a microgreens.
No, not like on a industrial scale. It's just playing and testing with it, and then maybe we learn something without having a lot of investment into it.
Yeah, because that's the next step, is really growing your own seeds, because then you don't have to pay for the plants to do the transplants. And they say the seeds do better when they're grown from seedlings and you put them in very small versus if they're like doing a transplant and they're shocked from the move.
Because I feel like that would even be a good, if you got good at that. Yeah, because a lot of there's vendors out in the farmer's market that are selling like seedlings. Tiny little seedlings,
yeah. I mean, that's what I bought from the farmer's market they put out there, but we let them sit there too long to where they grew bigger than they should have been before we actually planted them in our. So that's why they were bigger than they should have been.
Yeah, and some rabbit got into a few of them. Well, that's why we gotta act fast.
Any other takeaways from the Homestead Festival that you could think of?
I think it was just dipping our toe in the water, understanding, just hearing different presentations. I mean, there's a lot. When you don't really know much and you go into that, you're going to pull quite a bit out, and it just opens up your mind for other things that you can possibly do. For me, it's just like, okay, I'm a blank slate. Like, let's just learn from these people and see what we can incorporate, and maybe that introduces us to other people. I think it's just kind of getting into the community, where it first started with Justin Rhodes, and then from there we heard about Joel Salatin, and then we kind of made this spider web of all these different people out there that we had no idea that.
And then when it started going to that, when we went in the backyard of the house that we were redoing, I thought, I have no sun back here. I have sun like in this one little patch, but like if I'm going to grow vegetables like as much as I want to grow. So that got us to thinking, like, where should we move? And it's like the whole trickle effect of.
We just wanted to eat healthy, and now we're in Tennessee, one in Homestead. What do they say about sourdough?
Oh my gosh, it's the gateway drug. It really is, because the minute you make sourdough and you make it fresh bread, and sourdough bread, I never liked sourdough bread in the store growing up. Like when you'd get like a slice of sourdough, I never thought it was good. And even if you would get them at those, at like Cheesecake Factory, and they'd be like, oh, we have sourdough, those rolls.
The toasted or
they were they were just like, ugh, they were always dry. I'd never liked sourdough growing up. And still, like recently, I'm like, sourdough bread, I guess. But then when I made it myself and was like super interested, because you would see all these TikToks of people like showing how like the doughy it looked. That's when I had someone come over, teach me how to do a sourdough. And then knowing that you can make it yourself just from water, flour, and the starter, and just like how much empowered you feel, like that you don't have to rely on if the store has a fresh baked slice or not. It really is a gateway drug, because it makes you think like, what else can I do? What else can I grow or be in control of, to where I don't have to wonder if the grocery store or the farmer's market has it in stock. Like I know it's in stock because I'm helping create it at home. And it's like, if we want bread on Saturday night, okay, I need to start my dough the day before. And it's just like,
I think you're going to feel that same way when you figure out butter or you figure out yogurt. Like there's so many of those staple things that we use.
Well, I just bought all the stuff to learn how to make yogurt, because we go through so much yogurt. I basically made a list of the things we spend the most money on, and yogurt, I would say, would be probably the top, because Poppy loves it. And so I had to buy an Instapot. You have to use raw milk, so I have to get that at the farmer's market. And I got beef gelatin that's supposed to make it thicker. And I got yogurt cultures from the Homestead Supply Company. And so I have this recipe that I'm going to try. Apparently, it's very easy to make. And then once you make it, it's like you have so much that if you just, that's pretty simple. Those ingredients, and it wasn't that expensive. The cultures weren't even expensive, but it's like, if you're not buying the raw milk and you're getting that supplied, your cost of that goes down a lot.
Yeah. You can also play around with it and put like vanilla extract for vanilla yogurt, right, or just like those
or
healthier
how
substitutes.
much probiotics you want. You can up them or double the dose. So it's cool. It's like, you know exactly everything that's in that particular yogurt. And the same thing with the butter. It's like, you just have to wait for, we go through so much butter at the same time too.
Yeah.
It's like a big cost, especially because we want to buy like high quality butter. So it's more expensive for sure. And I feel like the quality, we won't skimp on the cost for that. Like, we do spend money on food because we want high quality. But it's like, even those eggs you bought the other day, we're like, why are these eggs so expensive? This is crazy. But
I had no idea that was that price. I'm like, this is more than Erewhon. And like, there's no difference. There's all these other different farms. But the farmer's market is the cheapest.
The farmer's market is definitely
$8
the
for a dozen, but I paid $15.
$15 for a dozen of pasture-raised eggs. They were really cute though. They were all pastel colors.
I know,
I
it
really
is
liked
very
them.
aesthetic.
And they did a good job with their branding. Like, you could tell it's a small family farm. Like,
Maybe that's why, because they have to have different breeds of chickens.
Right.
Who knows what the cost
I'm all about
with
supporting that. I'd way rather buy that than spend $6 on Vital Farms.
I had this thought the other day when I was at Sprouts or something, and I remember buying eggs as a kid, they're all white, but then thinking anytime, like, seeing a different color egg, that's like, oh, that's weird. But now it's so reversed to where if it's stark white, you're like, what's wrong with this egg?
Wait, but why are they stark white? Are you saying they bleach them, or they're just like a different breed of chicken?
Maybe that's what it is. But in my mind, when growing up, like, you always just see white eggs, but then you see the small section, but it had different color eggs, or they were brown. You're like, oh, I don't want to eat a brown egg. But now it's like completely backwards to where you feel like the colored eggs are, for me, I felt like the colored eggs, oh, they're a little bit more healthier. Or
yeah, we actually don't know. We have to look into that, because I don't know if that's.
Yeah, why are they so white and clean?
They might bleach them, right? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember ever growing up noticing that there was other colored eggs. I just thought all eggs were white.
Yeah, I don't know.
But now, like, sometimes I'll get like flashbacks of, like, sometimes we ate a lot of eggs growing up, and there sometimes were like green eggs.
What do you mean green? Like inside the yolk?
Like, not like they're completely green, like your scrambled eggs, but like you would crack an egg and it would have like a tint of green. And I'm like, why was I even eating that? The coloring was definitely off. And like, thinking about that now, that had to have been so tampered with, like, disgusting. But we thought that was normal.
Childhood memories.
I know. But now it's like, we also didn't grow up going to the farmer's market. I feel like there wasn't as many options then for farmer's markets. It was more to hang out and go. I feel like that was only in high school. I have a few memories of going to the downtown farmer's market, but it was more of like to get popcorn, and
it's more of a activity entertainment.
Yeah, and like people would sell crafts that they would make. Yeah. It was like homemade things, but it wasn't like, oh, you have tons of produce there that you can get. Or like nice coffees, or there's just like it's exciting to go to the farmer's market. It's like a little outing. That's
what Joel Salatin had said, because they were asking why he doesn't do farmer's markets, and it's because that's kind of what it is. It's a bunch of trinkets and people just hanging out. He's like, how am I supposed to push 600 chickens to people who just want to hang out? So,
but he also said that he does. I don't know if that was at the event or when we listened to him on the class, where he says that he would do pre-orders so that people would come and pick them up. Exactly.
It's like drop-offs.
Right. Yeah. And he would know exactly how many he would need to process for that week. But he was also selling at the farmer's market. It wasn't even like 8, and he would sell his local, and he would process the chickens by himself when he was 8 and sell them, because his parents told him that he could like keep some of the money, or
it was like his own.
It was his own. That's right. So he got to keep the profits. And so he was out there butchering the chickens at 8 years old, and would go down to the local area and would sell them. And people would ask him for certain cuts, and he's like, I can get you that next week. I'm like, wow, that's very entrepreneurial of you. You'd be able to process the chicken.
I think I'm getting more used to the idea. I saw a video Justin Rhodes had done, kind of a tutorial. that didn't make me as queasy. It's you have to get over the fact that when you have chickens or cows, pigs, whatever, like they're not pets.
But they're still treated really well.
Yeah, you treat them very well, and
but you're saying not to get attached emotionally.
Like you're raising them for food.
Right. Like that you know what their purpose is, but you're treating them well. You're giving them, I like how Jill Salatin says it, like you're letting the chicken be the full chicken.
Yeah.
Like you're letting him go in the sun. You're giving him bugs. Like the life that the chicken's living is like full and exactly how a chicken should be living, not manufactured under, fluorescent lighting or eating corn, being bleached.
We had chickens when we were younger, just for a short little stint. And I don't think I could have handled if my parents were like, okay, let's go process them. I think that would have freaked me out. But I mean, that's how it was. You're treating it as a pet. So I think
go into it differently.
Yeah, I think when the time comes, it's like, okay, yeah, these are going to be raised for food, and we're going to give them the best life they could possibly have, and then we just process them.
I know when we told Poppy that we were going to go see the demonstration of like, how to process chickens. So one day Daddy's going to have to process chickens when we have, our farm. And she's like, you could tell it's clicking more that she's understanding like, oh, because when we eat chicken, that's a chicken. I'm like, yes, exactly. So she's understanding like, yep, you raise them for food, and some chickens you have for eggs and they give you the eggs, but those chickens you're not going to eat. You're going to eat the ones that, are going to be for that reason. And I asked her, do you think you would be able to help Dad do that? Or would you want to do that? She's like, yeah, I could. I probably would. I'm like, okay.
We shall see.
We shall see. I know Elliot will definitely want to when he's older, just because he's fearless. He's so like, just will do whatever. But also he's a toddler. He doesn't know any different. But yeah, I do think that would be interesting. And then you have a freezer full of chicken for like, isn't it like a year?
I mean, yeah, you basically process the amount of chickens that you would eat in a year and just keep it in your freezer.
That's nuts. And so you never have to run out and be like, okay, I need this for this recipe. We eat a lot of chicken thighs.
Yeah.
And sometimes would you be able to make, well, asking you like you're the butcher, would you make boneless, skinless chicken thighs?
I was just thinking that when you're,
because I always need
doing
those.
Different cuts. I was like, but are we, because I don't know, when you're processing the chicken, you'd probably they store whole chicken. So I guess when you defrost it, you just cut what you need, but then
what, really?
I feel like you'd be wasting it. Yeah, I don't think unless they're going straight to market, they're
no,
like
I think you could
it.
Probably, because the way he was talking about processing the chicken in the demo, he was showing you like the different cuts and how to cut it down. So I think you would cut those cuts down before.
And then freeze it.
Right, and freeze it, because that's such a hassle after. If I'm like, I need chicken thighs, and you're like out there in the lawn, like cutting off the chicken's neck, like what?
No, I'm saying when you're processing all the chickens, like you're just keeping them whole.
I'm like, do you have 5 hours to make dinner tonight?
Yeah, I mean.
No, because then that makes no sense, because then you defrost it and then you have to refreeze them. No, that's weird. You'd have to do it in the front end. But it might not be boneless. It might just be chicken thighs, and you'd have to debone them once it defrosts.
I guess we have to look into it.
There has to be an easy way to do it, because if you're selling them down the line, you're like, whole chickens.
Well, no, if you're selling it, then you'd sell it like fresh, and then you would just try to sell it then. Not
like, this guy does not know what he's doing.
But if you're keeping it for like 8 months, then I don't know. Because I feel like there would be waste, like a lot of waste, if it's just for our family and you're cutting the pieces down, and then you're like, okay, what? Because they save certain cuts to make chicken broth. So you put all that stuff.
That's so true.
So how do you like?
That's another thing, because I go through a ton of broth, but we have to we're buying all the broth right now. But in that Martha Stewart cooking book I have, she said that it's so, if you ever have homemade broth, like you'll never go back to store-bought box broth, because it's completely different. It changes the flavors of your soups. So that's even made me want to make our own broths. But again, it's like, I'm not going to go to the butcher and find all these random pieces, and unless I got beef bones, but it just makes more sense for me to try it when I can learn it, but then to actually use the pieces that were, so nothing goes to waste.
So it's just a lot to learn.
But I do feel like we eat a lot more beef than we eat of chicken.
We do.
So I think we wouldn't have to process that many chickens, but then make sure we have all the cuts of beef that we need.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a while before we end up raising our own cow.
Yeah.
But I think
just
we
the
can get
dairy
into
cow.
the just buying like a half cow or a quarter cow from a farm.
That's true.
And
It's
then
way cheaper.
And start to see, okay, in a year, did we go through all this, or what can we utilize out of it to make bone broth? And then that's where we can be like, okay, we can get a cow and be able to store this meat somewhere.
Yeah. Just like having things stocked up, and then when you need something, you can pull it, is so much more efficient. When we're trying to think of, well, what do you guys want to have for dinner tonight? And then, well, we want to have a stew, but we need to get all the items versus, oh, I know I have some beef. I can defrost that. I have the beans already. Like, I have some vegetables we can cut up. You already know what you can make from a lot of these things. It's like the same stuff we're using again and again.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Poppy was really happy about the chia porridge I made this morning.
It was good.
Yeah. So maybe we will cut down on our yogurt consumption now with trying to switch it up.
We do need to have variety throughout the week.
She can't be eating yogurt like every day for breakfast, because I think that starts to, I mean, it's fine, but like, it's just the gut health. Like, you really want to have a variety of different types of foods, like not always the same type of protein, the same type of fiber. And so like mixing it up, giving your body like different options. And so I think that we've gotten into a rut of like, she has yogurt every single day and like 2 bowls of it.
Yeah. And that's just like her.
She loves her routine.
Her routine, yeah.
She's like, well, I always have yogurt. And then this morning, I said, do not buy any more yogurt, because Anthony will go to Sprouts in the morning and just get it. If we, he'll just like, I'm like, no, we can make something different. We can try to throw her out of her comfort zone. And so I made this chia porridge today. It was just like chia. I put warm milk and, it was actually almond milk, but she didn't mind it. And just put it on the pot. Chia, I did hemp seeds, flax seeds, sunflower seeds. I ground them up before, so it wasn't all like really chunky. And cinnamon, vanilla. It's almost like a chia pudding, but it was warm. Almost like a vanilla-y cinnamon. And she's like, and I put honey on top, because she loves honey on top of her yogurt. And she's like, I love chia porridge. I go, great. Now do I have to make that every morning? That's a lot more work than the yogurt.
You just need to do big batch and then find a way to heat it up. But.
Because I'm like, wow, the yogurt's way easier. Just like drop it in.
But she was in a chia for a while. Do you remember before the yogurt? You was making different.
I was making
chias,
the
blueberry or with cacao nibs, and
which I probably can do that again. But I just wanted something like warm, because it was raining outside. I was like, let's do something different, like warm and cozy, even though it's.
But we tend to get into like what's familiar. We have our.
I think that I'm probably going to be making chia porridge for the next month now.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I always have chia porridge, Mom. We're out of chia seeds. She's going to freak out if we are out of chia seeds. She always lets us know when we're running low on something. She'd be like, I need more goji berries. There's no more in there.
Goji berries has been a thing that's come back up.
Oh my gosh, the kids go nuts over those. Yeah, they like a lot of seeds, though. They'll eat
seeds and nuts.
Yeah, and they like Brazil nuts. Like anything, I like getting all those from Thrive, because I feel like they have better prices. And always doing the sprouted nuts helps your stomach digest it a little bit. So they have a lot of like their Thrive Market brand, and they're sprouted. So I do like sprouted organic, and they just love it. Like a bowl of nuts, of just like a mix of things. So that's good.
Yeah.
We do have a YouTube video that's going to be going live, I think within next couple weeks, but it's all about us setting up our garden boxes. So there'll be a little bit more information there if you want to try to build those. They weren't too difficult. Anthony did it, but pretty basic overall.
Yeah, after 6 or 7 trips to Home Depot, but we got it all figured out.
That was because the planning, something was off on those calculations. It definitely went through. I feel like I used calculations that were from this class, but I don't know if they were correct. Sorry about that.
I don't think anything's going to be exactly like what it is.
I was off on something, but I gave Anthony all the stuff we needed, and
we had to keep going back for soil.
Yeah, math is not my
not
first
enough
strong
screws.
point.
We realized after we filled the beds, they started opening up because of the weight. So I had to get more brackets. Learning experiences.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, feel free to check out that video in the next upcoming weeks on Brittany Xavier. Just type that in YouTube.
And then check out my Substack if you want to see all the items that I used to make my sourdough. I posted a video of that on TikTok and Reels not too long ago, like a start to finish sourdough. And hopefully that will give you all the directions you need to make your first loaf. And I put links to the items that I use in just every day of making the loaves. So they're all there on my recent Substack. It's called Things I'm Loving.
And Substack is a more personal approach, going back to the blogging roots. So I think it's a nice platform to kind of journal what we've been going through. And so feel free to check that out.
Yeah, once a week I'll do just like more of like a personal, like what we're doing or what we're going through. And then the Things I'm Loving is on Friday. So it's more of like, reminds me of the Thrifts and Threads days, but not with the bad photos of our outfits.
Not to the extent.
I do a fashion, beauty, home and kitchen, and then kids section. And I just jot down things throughout the week that I'm using or that I ordered, and I put the links to all those on there.
We would also love to hear from you. Please leave a review. Let us know if there's any episodes you would like us to talk about. Please leave 5 stars. And we have episodes every Thursday on Apple and Spotify. And then you can also check out these episodes on the YouTube channel.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Take care.